Okay, in the last video I was just talking about the driver's wish map, and in this one I'm just going to move on to talk about the changes we might make to the torque limitation map, because the driver's wish map effectively gives us the raw torque, in other words the absolute maximum that we might want to require or demand, and then the torque limitation map is going to drag that back a little bit so that we don't burn out the clutch instantly, break the clutch and break the gearbox. So that's really what we're worried about there. Now I've just about managed to get this all on the screen in one go, so there's not really anything over there that's important. We're looking at the torque map. We've got air pressure down the side here, and we've got engine speed across the top there. Now really we can ignore all the air pressure values, so all we're really interested in is looking at one of these rows. So it doesn't really matter the fact that there's 4 of them on this file, or 3 in another file, or maybe only 1 in the file you're looking at, because it's only really one set of numbers that we're interested in, and that's the way the torque will be limited by the engine speed changing. And you can see that basically the whole peak, the whole area where the maximum occurs, is here. So we've got 1750, 2000, 2250, 2500. That's the rev range where this engine develops its best torque. Not necessarily the best power, but the best torque. The power will probably continue to rise as these revs rise and then begin to taper off. Now, if we look again at how we might like to make some changes, I've just followed the same system that I did with the driver's wish. So what I've done is, again, this map is just that map, or those numbers, multiplied by 1. And so when I got to here, I made it 1.05, so these are 5% bigger. These are 10% bigger, these are 15% bigger. These are 20% bigger, and then what I've done is I've gone back to 15, and then I've let it drop back to 10, and then I've left it as 10. What you choose to do there doesn't really matter. I mean, you can decide. What I've done is I've decided to leave a peak there of 452. In other words, what I've done is I've eased up through here. Instead of this being a block like it is currently there, I've eased through it to my peak there. But you could decide you want to ease this up much faster, so you don't have to go 396, 415, 434 or something like that, do you? You can go up much quicker if you want, in much bigger jumps. That's entirely up to you. But again, I prefer a nice smooth transition, because what I don't want is to have a car that wrecks its own clutch or gearbox in next to no time, because whilst making little changes and then installing the map and then making some more changes and installing the map, maybe that is a waste of time, but it would be a lot more of a waste of time if I installed something, took the car for a run, thought, wow, this is great performance, and then smashed the clutch or the gearbox. It would be even more of a nightmare if I just handed that to a customer, and that's exactly what they did, because they may not be very happy. So I prefer to have relatively smooth small changes and test them. Ideally you want to test things on a rolling road, but of course we don't all have permanent access to a rolling road. Right, so that's the torque limitation and what we might like to do with the torque limitation. So again, what I'll do is I'll stop there before moving on to the next bit.